Sound check, 1, 2, 3. Sound check, 1, 2, 3. Testing 1 2 3. Stream check 1 2 3. Stream sound check 1 2 3. Streaming sound check 1 2 3. I'm fading in.
Come here, baby girl.
Just be patient as I'm going to be talking slowly just so I don't skip or miss. We're going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you guys, and thank you, James, for providing that handy dandy link for me. All right, this is to advise those present at this meeting of the Board of Education of the Pinelands Regional School District in the County of Ocean that adequate notice of this meeting was provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. Posted in the Board of Education office, junior high school and high school buildings. The notice was also mailed to the Press of Atlantic City and filed with the municipal clerks of Bass River Township, Eagleswood Township, Little Lake Harbor Township, and the Borough of Tuckerton. It's going to take roll call. Mr. Williams. Ms. Poklakua. Ms. Chambers.
Here.
Ms. Palladino.
Here.
Mr. Rossetti.
Here.
Ms. Harper.
Here.
Mr. Dalio.
Here.
Ms. Hamadel.
Here.
And Mrs. McVeigh.
Here.
Thank you. We went into executive session. It's resolved that the Board of Education meet in closed session to discuss matters as listed below. Items so discussed will be closed to the public, providing it does not violate New Jersey statute and regulations regarding the disclosure of information affecting this matter. We're completed executive session and we're looking for a motion to exit executive session. Can I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Is that Kim and Betty Ann?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor of exiting executive session?
Yes.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. So we're going to move into the public session agenda at this time, and we're going to start with item number 5, approval of the April 29th, 2020 agenda. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have Augie and Betty Ann
Correct.
on that. Are there any questions about the agenda? Okay. Roll
Nick,
call
we have-
vote.
Oh, good. I'm sorry. After this.
All in favor of approving the agenda as presented?
Aye. Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? That motion carries. Go ahead, Dr. M.
I think President McVeigh wanted to say something at this point.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you very much. I just wanted to, on behalf of our fellow board members, to give our heartfelt thanks to all our first responders, fire, first aid, police, and healthcare workers who have worked so hard to keep us safe. Thanks to this wonderful community that is the Pinelands School District, to the volunteers and community members who have helped provide food and services to all those in need. Thanks to the school administration, teachers, and staff for switching gears and providing services to our students. Special thanks to the food service staff who continues to provide thousands of meals to our community members in need. I think special thanks need to go out to our high school seniors who we all know didn't expect their senior year to be this way. I want them to know, or we want them to know, that the sacrifices they're making now are going to help to keep our community safe, and I, for one, am most appreciative. Our condolences go out to all who have lost family members to this virus, and we hold your families in our hearts. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mrs. McVeigh. And before we jump back to the agenda, I just want to remind members of the public and Board of Education and administrative staff This is a virtual meeting of the Board of Education. None of the members are present in the school building. Every member is participating remotely through video conferencing. I'll ask, just so we can maintain order during these can get a little chaotic, to please mute your line until the Board of Education can keep it unmuted. But if you're not on the board, please mute your line just so we can reduce any background noise or interference. For the members of the public, there is a call-in number for public comment. That number is 609-294-2293. If you have public comment, you can call that number and somebody will record your public comment. And when we get to the public comment portion of the agenda, those comments will be relayed to the Board of Education. So we're going to go back into the agenda as presented, and we are on
Approval of minutes.
Yep, I was just scrolling to that spot on my agenda. So I recommend a motion to approve the following minutes from the regular and executive sessions on March 18th, 2020. Can I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Was that Ms. Chambers and Ms. Palladino?
Yes.
Thank you for confirming that. Are there any questions? Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. McCooley now for the report of the superintendent.
Thank you. So the first thing I have is a food update, and President McVeigh touched on this briefly, but I just want to acknowledge Mike Simoncini for all the work that he's been doing, and the administrative team and anyone else that's been coming in to help with this. We've been serving over 9,000 meals on Mondays between the hours in 10:30 and noon. An important point, we are no longer only required to serve the free and reduced lunch. Anyone is welcome. So please spread the word that if you are a family in need and you need your meals for the week for your children, please come Mondays between 10:30 and noon, and you'll get breakfast and lunch for the week. I know there's been a lot of talk and a lot of texting, a lot of emails, a lot of conversation about the seniors and what we're doing for graduation, the prom, things that they're missing. Please know that Mr. Henderson and his team have been on top of this. They've been communicating with families, with the students. They have been researching ideas, but we also have to be cognizant of the fact that the DOE has some guidance on this as well. And we don't want to do something too big too soon, but we are working on a plan. A letter went out today that I thought would be helpful to share. It was from the New Jersey Leadership for Educational Excellence. And what's very interesting about this letter is supported by every organization: school boards, ASA, ASBO, NJEA, the PTA, and PSA, which is basically every organization that's involved in the school. And collectively and collaboratively, they are sending a message to the governor that they're suggesting that school remain closed through June so we can be safe and prepare for the upcoming school year. So I'm not sure what's going to come of this, and we haven't heard any definitive answer yet from the governor of whether we're going to open this school year or not, but I thought it would be beneficial to share this with the board that this letter did go out to the governor. There has been some question about whom essential employees are. Our pandemic plan has been on the district website and approved by the DOE for about a month and a half now. So essential employees are listed in that document, and we are having them come in very safely. They have PPE, they are on a staggered schedule, so they're all not here at the same time. So if there's any question about who those essential employees are, please refer to the plan. As you know, the CSA evaluation is coming up. All the information and supporting documentation is available to you. Please look at every link carefully. There's a lot. It's going to take some time to go through it. As Ms. Hannadell sent out earlier, Betty Ann will be sharing a schedule with the board so you can keep on top of that and make sure that we meet our deadlines on that. So I thank you in advance for all your work with that. And then lastly, thank you for your correspondence and support with the miracles. I know this is an unprecedented time and situation, but I will keep them as is because we have met them already, and I will be most likely putting those on the agenda in May. So thank you for everything, and I'm turning it back over to Nick.
All right, thanks, Dr. M. This is the point of the meeting where we jump into presentations, and I get to turn it over to myself to give the public budget presentation for the 2021 general fund budget. Just hang with me momentarily while I get the screen share going. I wanted to just start off by emphasizing to everybody that we're completely aware of the unprecedented times and the impact on our community. However, at the Board of Education, we're tasked with the job of making sure our operations properly funded to take care of our students. And our students right now, they need us more than they ever have in the past. And this budget provides essential resources for our students to educate our children. And that's everything from providing meals, providing transportation, even though it's not happening right now, providing all types of programs and assistance, and not just to the students, but to our educators as well. But all this is necessary for our kids to be educated. This process is an absolutely gargantuan task, and it began for the Pinelands Board of Education last summer when we did board goal setting. We've met with supervisors and principals many times since then, and we took the info and into our central office team meetings and had to cut more than $2 million in spending to be able to balance this budget that we're presenting tonight. There's a lot of number crunching and certainly a lot more stress and anxiety in it, but we're pleased to present a balanced budget that is aligned with the board's strategic plan. It's framed around our district's learning goals, and it's based on data, and that's an important criteria for not just the business office, but the board's budget and finance committee. This budget meets the needs of our community in a very uncertain time. And so please know that we don't take any of the struggles that are happening in our community lightly when a budget is presented. We take our responsibility to the students very seriously, and we're presenting tonight a fiscally responsible budget that meets the needs of our school community. And I want to thank not only Dr. McCooley and the administrative staff who we've been back and forth with, but also the Budget and Finance Committee who is engaged in this process. And even though it was a little unconventional towards the end with the closure of school. And I just want to remind everybody that the governor has extended the school year until September, and it leaves open the possibility that these budgets may be revisited, funds may be reallocated by the government. There's certainly been precedent for that in the past, and so I just caution that we're presenting the best that we can right now, but there's still possibilities that this gets impacted through the governor's office going forward. So as we get rolling here, I just wanted to introduce everybody to the members of the Board of Education. Betty Ann McVeigh, our board president, serves as a de facto member of the Budget Committee, along with Ms. Palladino, Mr. Dallio, and Mr. Rossetti. And I want to thank all of them for their engagement, their questions, and the time they put into this. The first, in understanding the budget, it's understanding our almost 380,000 square feet of space that houses our kids during school sessions. Each of those buildings is listed here with their regular function. Most of that 380,000 square was impacted when we did upgrades through our referendum project over the last couple of years. And I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of the 278 staff members that comprise our school district. Every single person that we've interacted with over the last month and a half, and certainly prior to that, done an excellent job fulfilling their obligations to the Board of Education and the community. I just wanted to make sure you heard it from the business office at least once, that we genuinely appreciate your hard work and you going above and beyond for our community. Thank you to our staff. When you're a regional high school district, we start with understanding the apportionment. How do we divide up the cost to operate the school among the towns that make up the regional school district? And so we get from the Department of Education an apportionment formula. That formula considers not only enrollment, but the total net value taxable of the towns, both of those figures adjusted by some Department of Education factor. And then they give us this, which is the breakdown of the budget share for each of the members of the regional school district. And so these numbers haven't changed much from last year. Been lost maybe 1.5%, and Eagleswood and Bass River picked up pieces of that. So in that apportionment detail, we take If you look in the bottom right corner here, this number that's 23.263 million, that's our total general fund tax levy plus our debt service obligations, which are the bonds that the voters of these towns have approved in the past. So that total amount collected, and then we divide it up by the percentages allocated in the apportionment formula, so you have an idea of how we share the responsibility to budget for the district. Our revenue sources in Pinelands Regional majority of it comes from the local tax levy. The next biggest chunk, about 35%, comes from state aid. This year, about 1% of the budget is coming in the form of fund balance. And then we have other revenues, which is a catch-all category for a couple of categories that make up that remaining 1%. You'll see here on this screen our local revenues and how they compare over the last several years. We've gone to 2% the last 2 years, and we've utilized bank cap in each of the last 2 years. And you can see those numbers here. So from the local taxpayer, our revenue is up year over about $471,000. But local tax revenue is not our only revenue source. Our state revenue, this is state aid, and this includes in this slide the third line down, extraordinary aid. That number is the only estimated figure on that page. The rest of those are our state aid numbers. Our state aid's down just about $210,000 for this year. This is as a result of the School Funding Reform Act. And then if you look at our other revenues, our biggest decrease year over is the flexibility we had to use fund balance to balance the budget. Last year, we were able to use $1.1 million in fund balance to balance the budget. And this year, we only had about $400,000. So when you take that all in total, our total operating budget for the year is actually down $500,000. Our total revenues for the year is down over $600,000. So it's really challenging. I wanted to just stress that it's not our revenues are down. Does not mean our expenses are up. So when we're looking at last year, I wanted to just point out a couple insignificant financial points. That one, we increased reserve balances last year in capital and maintenance reserve by $380,000. That's an important figure because last year we participated in a survey of school districts and their reserve balance relative to the size of their budget. And we were in the bottom fifth of districts in terms of the amount of money we had in savings for the size of our budget. So it was a priority to restore that a little bit. I want to thank the board and the committee for allowing us to get those reserve balances to give us a little more cushion for uncertain times. I think that's proven to be a prescient decision considering where we're at now. And another key figure, just the reduction in state aid that we'll dive into in a little more detail here. I'd like to point out to everybody our tax levy projections and the importance or the benefit of going to the 2% cap while state aid is being cut. In this slide, that gray steady line is the tax levy at a 2% increase every year, and the orange line is our actual increase over the years. You can see that we ended up in essentially the same place. And so one of the reasons that one of the things that I stress constantly to the board and I want to share with the public is just like the school district, any business appreciates having some consistent, predictable revenue to be able to develop their business and build goals around. So, in the area where the orange line falls below the gray line, that's where we earn bank cap. And the area where the orange line starts to get back closer to the gray line, that's where we use bank cap. But if you look over the last several years, we're ending up in essentially the same place. And so while we're losing state aid, I'll continue to stress the importance that going to at least 2% to keep the budget balanced is a necessity. And so when we talk about the School Funding Reform Act and its impact on the Pinelands Regional School District, the great oversimplification, that means they want the local taxpayers of our communities to pay more money, and they want to decrease the state's portion of our budget. And one of the big things is they tie the new School Funding Reform Act or the school funding formula to enrollments, and we've seen enrollments decrease over the last several years. So that impact on us, I mentioned this in the previous slide, we're losing about $210,000 in state aid this year, and we're projected to lose more than $700,000 total when the formula is fully implemented. We have a number of problems with this formula. you'll notice in previous agendas, the board has submitted a resolution we'd asked for open public records access to the school funding formula. That access was denied. Many districts across the state that submitted that open request. The request was denied. We want more transparency in the formula so that we can understand and plan. And so this is a really significant loss of revenue over the next several years that we need to account for. I've also added here an idea of what the tax history looks like for school taxes in the various municipalities. I want to point out where you see these little spikes. Those aren't spikes in school spending. They're normally attributed to changes in the assessed value of the homes in that town. And if you look more recently, remember last year, Tuckerton had a bump in their values, and so they had a bump there, that corresponding bump in the tax history. So just provided for informational purposes. This comes from the J schedules in our annual audit. And so when we're faced with this losing revenue from multiple sources, in addition to trying to raise revenue from other sources, we're looking at how we can cut costs. And so in consecutive budgets, we've reduced discretionary spending across all of our departments. You'll notice that we've changed staffing levels to line with the enrollment, the changes in enrollment along the way. And we've implemented and will continue to implement a number of shared services agreement for Dr. McCooley, for myself, Ms. Lichtenwalner, our Director of Special Services, for Bruce Stranahan, our maintenance supervisor, and many IT services shared between the regional school districts. There's always an effort made on costs, our focus on costs and how we can keep them contained and wherever possible, reduce them. So the budget details that are being presented to you tonight are outlined here. The general fund tax levy is $20,920,550. In addition to that, there's $2.3 million collected for debt service, which is that $23 million we referenced in the earlier part of the slide. So that's more than a 2% cap because it includes the use of bank cap that we outlined earlier. And so what does this look like for the individual municipalities? We'll go through those one by one. For Little Egg Harbor, the average home in Little Egg Harbor is worth about $200,000. So that means the average homeowner in Little Egg Harbor would see an increase of about $19 for the year on their tax bill. In Tuckerton, the average homeowner for a home valued at $200,000, they would see their taxes go down by about $50 a year. In Eagleswood, for a home valued at $200,000, you would see your taxes go up about $3 a month or $36 for the year. And for Bass River, a more significant impact on a home valued at $200,000, an impact of about $83 a year. And so a reminder to everybody that the preliminary budget was submitted to the DOE back in March. That budget was approved in April. This presentation represents the final presentation of the 2021 budget, and the board will move to adopt this budget in a motion later on in the agenda. I want to now pause and offer the Board of Education and open it up to them for questions.
So Nick, isn't it that because we didn't stay at the 2%, isn't the 2% built in so that when we do end up going up to that line again because we needed to get that money anyway, doesn't it cost more money?
I don't know if I understand exactly the phrasing of the question.
So if we sometimes went to 1% or 1.5%, so instead now we're going to go over 2%. My understanding was that's actually going to cost us more.
Well, I would say that to put that another way, if we, in the chart that's provided, if we had gone to 2% every year that year, we'd have more money in the budget than we would in the budget we're presenting tonight. So yeah, in that regard, it cost us money to kind of fluctuate below to go 0% increase. It hurts us down the line because that's what we base the 2% increase off of.
Nick, I have a question. I know it was proposed to the municipalities that they wouldn't have to pay, I guess, their tax bills on time or send us the money. I don't know if that's been corrected or adjusted, but how will that impact revenue?
Well, I mean, Pat, that's the thing that keeps me up at night right now. And to be quite honest, is that, this is, and it's not us, it's everybody. At the state level, they were considering legislation that allows municipalities to delay tax payments. We would argue from the school side that we don't have any way to raise revenue except from the local municipality or state aid. So local municipalities have the ability to bond quickly and pay debts without having voter approval if they needed to borrow to cover their obligations to us. But I want to give a lot of credit to Mr. Stanley and Mr. Haynes and all the local leaders at the municipal level. We've been engaged with them the entire time, and it's something that we're going to work together and find a way to make sure we meet our obligations. But yeah, this is an unprecedented time, and having that uncertainty makes it difficult to operate, just like it does for our business owners in town, when they're uncertain when they can get back in and churn the register again. Uncertain revenues make operating a business or organization very difficult.
Right. Okay. So we don't know then if we'll be getting that tax revenue at this point.
I think say that we're current with all payments owed by all the local municipalities right now. Nobody has given me an indication that they will be unable to pay in any of the subsequent months that road.
Okay.
We are still uncertain whether or not all of our state aid payments for the remainder of the year will be made on schedule. We haven't received notice otherwise, but there can be some rumbling sometimes about those things, but we haven't received any word that that's not coming.
The only other question I have, any savings on what we're actually presenting tonight with the non-renewals and the RIFs? Where will that money be allocated to?
Well, I think I indicated during the presentation that our expenses with the staffing level where it previously was $2 million above our revenue. So it's not money that's freed up to allocate other places. It's money that was freed up to balance. So it doesn't, it's in the lines that where it's reflected in the budget.
Thank you.
And Nick, once the board is done, because this is the public hearing, do we have any comments from the public on the budget or any questions, Jonathan? I'll unmute you. No, go ahead and unmute yourself. There you go.
We had one call from Mrs. Susan Ernst. She said that the live stream wasn't available for her. I did check myself, and it was working fine.
But anything on the budget?
No.
Okay.
That was the only public comment we had at the time, and
all right.
I got it out there.
Yeah, we're just doing the budget portion right now.
When the board members are done commenting, we do have to officially say that, the public hearing is now open for public comments on the budget item only. I'm sure I didn't mean to steal your thunder, Mr. Brown.
Miss Amy, I'm glad to have you do that. Before we do that, is there any members of the Board of Education that had any additional questions about the 2021 general fund budget? Okay, so at this time, we're gonna open it up to members of the public. This is the public hearing on the budget. So if members of the public do have a question about the budget, please call 609-294-2293. And someone will be able to take that call right now and relay your comment to the board. There's a delay of about 30 seconds from our live stream to our actual live event here. So we're just going to give a brief pause while we allow opportunity for any member to make public comment right now. And while we wait, I'll remind that what we've done in our other meetings too is just to provide that if somebody does call in the residence forum agenda items, obviously we will also answer a budget question at that time. John, do you have anything? Okay, so seeing no comments from the public at this time, we're going to move to the
work session.
Next item on the agenda, which is number 9, board work session. Didn't have anything for here at this time.
Wait, Mrs. McVeigh has something.
Yeah. I was going to say, Mrs. McVeigh's got something for new business, right?
Yeah, just a quick reminder to our board members, the importance of being careful with our email communication with staff. This weekend, Kim and I received an email from Mel Reed, the union president. It appeared to be sent in error. We let Melissa know that, in fact, we had gotten that. I'm assuming other board members received it as well. Just a reminder, as per our ethics code, and I'm just going to read it real quick. Code of Ethics, I will refer all complaints to the chief school administrator, which would be Dr. McCauley, and will act on complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution. So just a reminder, and I've found myself in this position before, to remind you guys that if you get an email from a staff person sent to you, it's important that you let Dr. McCauley know that, and perhaps myself as well. Thank you.
Nick, can I add something as well?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Legislative committee I just got an email. I'm going to have my legislative committee via Zoom on May 9th. There's also a lot of classes on New Jersey school boards, and I know some of you need to do your class for your the year that you're in, and all that information is on New Jersey school boards, in addition to our and Melissa's what is it called?
The PSA evaluation, right?
Yeah, so the evaluations are on there, and there's a lot of you do have to do your classes or I forget what they actually call it. Sorry,
Governance.
It's like CE. For board members, so you have to take classes, and then there's extra classes. So I just wanted to let you know that there is a lot going on in New Jersey school boards. So if you can check that out, that'd be great.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hannadell. Okay, so we're going to move on to item 10, Residents Forum, agenda items only. Board policy number 0167 encourages community participation in every meeting. However, the board requests that the public respect a reasonable time limit when commenting on agenda items. I'm going to remind everybody that the public call-in number for public comment is 609-294-2293. John, I'm just going to quickly check with you. Any members of the public for additional comment at this time?
No.
Okay, and as we did prior, we're just going to hang here for 30 seconds to allow time for the live stream to catch up.
Nick, could you say that number again? Because you got cut off.
Absolutely. It's area code 609-294-2293.
I guess there was a change to the agenda. We're not going to be discussing the Assembly Bill 3904, which was on the original work session.
Yeah, Pat, so that we received word I want to say at the very early part of this week that we're going to have guidance from the Department of Education on that bill. And so the thought was, after we have that guidance, we would bring that matter into the Budget and Finance Committee and then bring from the committee a recommendation to the board on that. But I will be supplying the board with an update, and Dr. McCooley will also have an update in that in her superintendent's report.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Mr. Yates, anybody on the hotline?
No, sir.
Thank you. Now remind the public that there's an additional comment period later in the agenda. Moving on to item number 11, committee reports. I recommend a motion to approve the instructional recommendations A1 through A5. Can I have a motion?
Motion. Chambers?
Thank you, Ms. Chambers. Can I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Palladino?
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Are there any questions? Okay, we'll go to roll call vote. Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Palladino?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Ms. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dalio?
Yes.
Ms. Hannadel?
Yes.
And Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Thank you. Those motions carry. Moving on to the next item, personnel. Recommend a motion to approve the following personnel items, B1 through B7. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Who was the first there? I'm sorry.
That's Kim and Rachel, I think.
Thank you, Ms. Hannadel. Thank you, Ms. Harper. Noted. Are there any questions?
Yes, doesn't it go through B8?
8, yeah, Nick.
My apologies. I recommend a motion to approve the following personnel items, B1 through B8. My apologies, guys. So, Ms. Hannadel and Ms. Harper, so moved.
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any
Change.
questions? Seeing no questions, we will go to the vote. Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Ms. Palladino,
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti,
Yes.
Ms. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Dalio,
Yes.
Ms. Hannadel,
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh,
Yes.
thank you. And just confirming, we haven't had the other members join, right? Okay. That motion carries. Moving on to the report of the board secretary and business administrator, recommend a motion to approve the report of the board secretary, business administrator, items C1 through C9. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Harper. Mr. Rossetti, appreciate it. Are there any questions?
Yes, I do have a question, and I did pose it on the Q&A regarding payments to, I guess it was some of the drama stipends.
Mhm.
I guess it's not really a question. It's well, yeah, I guess it is. Has anyone, since we only receive services rendered for that partial time for the first weekend only, I was just curious, has anyone decided to donate the money back?
At this time, I am unaware of anybody donating that money back, but I didn't ask that question, but I will poll I'll look into that for you if that's okay, and I'll provide you a follow-up email after the meeting sometime this week.
Curious, because I know we have some donations that were given back for the ticket sale, so I just was wondering if any of them maybe had reached out and decided to do that.
And if they did, they may have communicated that to another member of the administrative team, so we'll check with them and confirm and follow up with you on that, Ms. Chambers.
Thanks.
No problem. Any other questions from the board? Okay, moving to the vote. Ms. Chambers?
Oh, yes, with the exception of number 9, I would just abstain on my own name, which is on that list, under number 9, item 9.
Thank you. Ms. Palladino?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Ms. Harper?
Yes, with an abstention on item 4.
Thank you. Mr. Dalio?
Yes.
Ms. Hannadel?
Yes, and with a thank you to all the people who did the donations as well.
That is noted. Thank you. Mrs. McVeigh?
Sorry, yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Moving on to item 12, residents forum general topics. Board policy 0167 encourages community participation in every meeting. However, the board requests that the public respect a reasonable time limit when commenting on any topic. Quickly, we'll go back to Mr. Yates. Anybody calling the hotline yet, Mr. Yates?
There's no new comments. Mrs. Ernst called again to relay similar information.
Okay. noted that some members of the public are having technical difficulties. We're just going to we're going to pause if we can briefly allow the 30 seconds for the live stream to catch up. Okay. Seeing no members of the public, John, any change to that?
No.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item number 13 on the agenda, the board forum. For the board members participating remotely, I'll ask that if you have something to contribute to board forum, just raise your hand and we'll call on everybody one by one. Would anybody like to comment? Ms. Chambers?
Yes, I'd like to, first of all, Nick, thank you and the budget committee for all the work and the meeting time that you've put in for the budget for this year. I see it's been very difficult given the circumstances and unprecedented times. Melissa, I'd like to thank you especially and all of your administrative staff for the hard work that you put in during this time. I know it's been uncharted territory, so I just wanted to thank you for that. All staff, teachers, support staff, cafeteria, maintenance, anyone that I might have left out, all staff, thank you. It's been challenging. There's been many good things said out there about the hard work that you're doing, providing the virtual instruction for students at home. It's been challenging for the parents and any other caregivers, but I know they're getting through. So Melissa, thank you, all your staff, administration for everything that you've done. It's appreciated. Thank you.
And thank you for saying that, Pat. That means a lot. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. Any other members of the Board of Education would like to comment on board forum at this time?
Hey, Nick, do you mind if I say something real quick? It's Christy.
Absolutely, Ms. Palladino. Where's yours?
I just want to give a great big thank you to my son's teachers and all the other teachers. They have been rock stars helping us through this time. That's it.
Thank you.
Nick, I'd like to just reiterate my thanks to yourself, Gina, Melissa, all the administrative staff. It's like reading tea leaves to figure out what we're doing going forward. And I can appreciate, this just how much hard work you guys have put into this. I really appreciate it. And for the teachers out there, you are rock stars. So thanks so much.
No problem. Any other members of the board like to comment on board forum? Okay, I want to thank everybody for their comments. We are at item number 14, adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
Motion.
Second. Thanks, everybody.
Good night,
Ms. Dalio and Ms. Hannadell, all members of the board in favor of adjourning this meeting, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. This meeting is adjourned at 6:44 p.m.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good
Thanks,
night,
guys.
guys.
Have a
Have a
good
nice
night.
evening.
Stay safe.